Hello and welcome back to Survival Sealab. I'm Modi Operandus. On today's episode, we're going to be continuing our look at Applied Energistics and then pulling all of our stuff into the system and then working on some serious crafting with the new system. So let's get going. We got lots to do here. Alright, so as I mentioned, we're going to be working on Applied Energistics some more today. I did a little work off camera here and I got everything set up. I got 4 4K storage and 6 1K storage. The reason being is that there's a lot of things that we're not going to have very many of that'll go nicely in these 1K storage things. Certain blocks and that kind of thing. Certain machines that we're going to have some of but not a lot of and that kind of thing. That'll be perfect for the 1K storage. Anyways, we need to get all this stuff pulled into the system. Before we do that, I want to actually explain one thing. I did do partitions last time for one of these cells here. But what I decided to do, actually, instead of partitioning one just for dirt and cobblestone, I am going to use a system of barrels for that stuff still. And the way I have it set up here is that, let's head over to the storage room here, the processing room here. And so everything is set up so it's going to be pulled out of, this is coming from the quarry. It's getting pulled across here, getting sorted out. If it's ores, it's getting processed. If it's anything else, it's getting into here. If it's one of the geostrata stones, it's getting put into here to get processed. And then this one over here is set up with a item sink with just cobblestone, sand, dirt, netherrack, gravel, anything I'm gonna have a ton of that I need to separate out and put into barrels. Anything I want in the barrels is gonna go into there. And then what that brown, it's basically set to brown is that ender chest. And what that brown ender chest does is pulls it over here, and then using our new impulse item ducts, which I just created with using some of the glowstone, it's gonna pull it out of here and then plop it into each of these barrels. And then after that, it's gonna get, these fill up, it's gonna get pulled right into the trash can after that, because I don't need more than 64 stacks of stone at any one time. We're going to get a ton of stone and cobblestone and that kind of thing from our quarry, and honestly we don't need to have that much of it on hand. If we had gone with the Applied Energistics system, it's going to keep storing cobblestone no matter what, and then it's going to fill up the other cells on top of that even if it is partitioned correctly. So I figured a barrel is probably the safer way to go and get it put into the sorting system so it's all part of it. We're not going to have any mix-ups or anything like that. Everything that's going in this chest is either going to get deleted or put in one of these barrels. So you got to be very careful about how you use that. You can't just store stuff into it. But it's set up into the storing system, so I shouldn't need to worry about it too much. Anyways, as I mentioned, we need to find a way to get all of this stuff into our Applied Energistics system. And the way we're going to do that is with the ender chests we've had set up for the storage system and then an import bus. And this import bus, the recipe on this is just, it requires an ME interface, which is kind of expensive actually. It requires like one of these conversion matrices, an ME cable, and those conversion matrices are just with this basic processor. It's the main component of that. We need a ton of these little things, so we're gonna have to set up a process for creating those very, very soon here, I think. So anyways, the plan here is that we're gonna pop this import bus here. It's going the wrong direction at the moment, but I'll fix that in a moment. And then we'll put this ender chest right on top here, like that, and then we'll flip around this import bus. So it's going from this into this, and now everything that's going into this yellow chest is getting imported into the ME system. So all I need to do is get this thing set up so that everything is going into these chests now. So what we're gonna do is borrow this guy from over here, and let's borrow him for right now because our quarry is done running for the moment, so it's not on. So we're gonna grab this, and we're gonna take this over to here, and we're gonna start pulling all this stuff out of these chests and into this thing. Hopefully we have enough storage. Those 1K storages hopefully will hold. If they don't, I don't know what I'll do. I have to upgrade them, but that's not a big problem. We can do that. So what we want to do here is then grab some of our impulse item ducts, and we're going to need to figure out a way to power this, I think. We don't have enough servos to just do this by itself. So we'll pull these over here, and we'll just make a bunch of them pull over, and we'll set all these to out so that they're pulling out of here and into this chest here. It's going to be a huge mess here, I think, but we'll see what happens and see how long this takes to all sort out. Okay, so now we want to set these all to output. And then we need to find a way to power them. I might not be able to do some of these ones down here, but it'll be okay. We'll figure it out. If it doesn't go all right now, that's fine too, as long as it gets some of the storage capacity put into here. All right, so in theory, this should get just about everything, but we don't know if it will work. We need to get power for it first. So we need some levers, which I have 4 of. That's probably not gonna be nearly enough, but we'll start it here with this. And that should be powered, and it should be filling this up now. And it goes very, very fast with the impulse item ducts. Faster than the bus is going. So this is going to fill up here very, very shortly. And once that's done, we can move on to the other ones here. I think if I do this, it's going to do that one only. If I do this, it's going to do that one only. So we'll get these all pulling out into the ender chest, and this is already going to be backed up. Yep. So I'm going to let this run for a while. It's going to pull everything into our ME system. I'll have to keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't fill up. But so far, let's see, we got 16, 11, and all these aren't even touched yet. So it's working. It's working. It's just going very slow. And but it is gaining stuff constantly. As you can see, there's limestone getting filled up right now. So it'll just be a little while, and then we can have this all set up with all of our items in it. All right, so all of our chests have been removed here. I took them all out, and they're all emptied, except for these last two here. I have a couple items in here still, like bows and that kind of thing, which are just going to take up slots inside of my system. I don't necessarily want them to, because they do have damage and that kind of thing, and variable, and I think they might take up more than one slot if they have more damage on them. I might be wrong about that, but either way, I don't necessarily need to keep them in my chest here because they're not necessarily used in much crafting. Anyways, this import bus system worked pretty well, but it was going kind of slow, so I added 2 more import buses to it, and that seemed to make the speed go even faster. And so now it should be able to keep up with our quarry once we're ready to turn that back on. And then the other thing too I want to mention is the amount of power. The more machines you hook up to this, the more power it's going to use. It's using 3.8 Minecraft joules per tick, and that actually translates to, I believe it's 380 RF per tick then, because I think it's 10 RF per MJ, if I remember correctly. But anyways, we'll get the quarry set back on here and then just get this all connected. I don't know how much more storage we want to do on here. We might want to add another section of drives, actually. We could add this other whole thing of drives eventually if we run out of space, and that's probably the best way of handling it. Those 4K drives do pretty well, but yeah, these 1K drives, they only hold 63 items, same as the 4K, but they have less storage capacity, basically. So yeah, these are all about over half, so that's a pretty good setup, in my opinion. So what we want to do now is actually get making something that's going to help us craft even more stuff automatically. Now, having this crafting table here and having all of our inventory on hand when we're trying to make something is super helpful, but we can actually teach this to make more complex items for us. So we want to make something, we just click at the press of a button and it'll make it all for us. That's the goal here. So to do that, we need to make what's called a molecular assembly computer, I believe it's what's called, MAC. And to do that, we need 4 different parts here, I think. We need the containment walls, we need heat vents, we need CPUs, and we need pattern providers. These pattern providers are what you're going to actually store your patterns into, and everything you need on this computer to make, you have to teach it to, basically. So we'll teach it via patterns, and we'll put them inside this pattern provider. We only need a couple of these, maybe 4 at the most, but that's more than we'll ever need. And CPUs are used to do the actual business of crafting things. The more CPUs you have, the faster things will go, and the more processes it can do at once. So we're going to build 4 of those, 4 of these. We'll need to build heat vents, and we'll need heat vents on each side of the computer, and it will be a 4x4x4 computer, and that's going to require 8 times 6, right? 6 sides on a cube, correct? Right? 4 plus 2, yeah, that's right. So we'll need 8 times 6, that'd be 48, and then we'll also need walls for each of the sides of it too. So that's probably going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 20? I think it's 20. Okay, so we'll make the stuff here. It's not that expensive to make. We can actually make these pretty easily. We'll just make 20 of these. I think that's correct. Hopefully, we're pretty tight on our iron supply. I started building this thing right as I got enough iron to do it. And it's going to be pretty close, so we don't have a lot of room for air. The heat vents, we actually don't have enough iron bars in there probably just yet. And we're missing some ME cable. What do we need? Dark ME cable? What was that? Just regular ME cable. Oh, I used it all up. Okay, so let's make some ME cable here first then. And this is the kind of thing, if we teach our computer to make ME cable, we can then automate this whole thing of making more pieces for our computer if we want to upgrade it down the road. So ME cable, we should have enough Fluix powder in there. What do we see? We need, what did I say? We need 20? No, that wasn't right. We need, I figured this out before. It was 6 times 8 was 48 we need. So we'll need a lot more vents than we do actual containment walls. That doesn't seem quite right, but maybe I'm miscounting there. Let's make all this stuff here. It's going to be pretty easy to make. I'm just going to use the processes here, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we have everything we need created now. I actually miscalculated before. I said I needed 48 heat vents. I only need 24, actually. I don't know how I doubled that exactly, but 24. And for assembly containment units, I think I said 20, and we actually need 30. And then the CPUs and the pattern providers, at least I got that right. So this is basically everything you need to set up a 4x4 CPU. The other thing I want to mention too is that I made a little emergency chest down here. This has some yolorium in it, in case we run out of power for some reason and our thing shuts off here. We can't get access to any of our stuff if it's in there, if the power's off. So this is our emergency backup, and if that fails, we also have a steam dynamo and some coal and some water in case everything else fails. So a couple of backup, couple of redundancies, Always good to have. Anyways, we're gonna set up a system that's gonna craft things for us. And to do that, we're gonna set up the CPU down here. So I'm just gonna put it right in front of this emergency chest. Hopefully we'll never need that. And the way this works is you lay out a 4x4 pattern of the containment walls. And these basically contain your molecular assembly unit. And just like this here, a couple finishing touches. 32 is actually the right number here. I think I have enough to actually make those last two. So 32, I had a sneaking suspicion it was 32, but let's just fix that quick here. We got enough for this, I think. 2, perfect. Okay, so we are pretty close on materials here. I ran out of iron and gold at some point here, so you'll notice there's a couple more vacancies on our drives here. But yeah, we ran out of materials here. I had to go remake some things and go mining for some stuff here off camera. All right, so you make a unit like this, and then you want to lay your heat vents on the flat parts of it, all the sides of it actually. But don't put them all in just yet, because you need to get access to the middle here. And just like this. And then when I lay in the last 4, it'll become a multi-block. But before we do that, we need to actually fill in the back part here with CPUs and pattern providers. Now it doesn't matter where you put these things, they have to be in there though. And that's pretty good. And we got this. And it becomes a multi-block structure, and that is our molecular assembler unit chamber. There we go. So what we do with this is we put in patterns. Let's actually first wire it up to the network. So we need some of this ME cable, and all we need to do is have one wire running off of it here, and that should connect it. I think we can connect it to anywhere, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. I don't need to have 2 wires there. I can take that one off. There we go. And this should be connected now. Let's make sure it's working. So it has the, yep, it has the pattern provider, CPUs, it recognizes all of it. Awesome. So what we need to do then is create patterns for it. And the way we do that is with a pattern encoder. It doesn't need to be connected to the power, but you do need to have it. Maybe I should leave it down here because I need to get access to this either way. So we'll put it right here. It doesn't need to be connected, but it can be right next to it here. And then what you do is put in blank patterns into here and then tell it what you want to make. You have to be very specific about how you want to make it though. So for instance, we want to tell it to make blank patterns, for instance. And we encode that onto this pattern here. And then when we go into here, drop this in. And now what we can do is we can just go into our system here. And we can say, hey, make me a blank pattern. Say pattern has the recipe here, you craft, you tell them how you want. Let's make 2 more of those, begin. And it's going to craft those for us. The other thing we'll want to make is a crafting monitor though, so we can actually watch our stuff as it gets made. Where is that? Storage monitor? No, we don't want that. We want the crafting monitor. There it is. We might have enough for this right now. Actually, we're just missing 1 cable, but I should have that in my pack. Cool, let's drop this cable back in there because I don't need any more right now. And, oh, we made 2 of them. That's fine. We'll throw 1 back in there. I don't necessarily need. That's one thing you have to be very careful of, hitting shift click on the system here. So this is the currently crafting. It'll tell you if it's missing any materials. So you can keep an eye on things here. If there's any problems, you can actually cancel the jobs right from here then. So let's go back downstairs and let's make a few more patterns of things we'll need quite often. So for instance, we can tell it to make, let's clear it first of all. We can tell it to make basic processors. So we'll want to make those, and we can go encode, and that's how you make a basic processor. It'll use all those items and make one. Now with vanilla Minecraft items, it works pretty nicely, but if you're making something that uses like copper, for instance, you have to be very specific about what kind of copper you want it to use. The system isn't smart enough to necessarily recognize the ore dictionary and get the right copper all the time. As far as I've noticed anyways. What else do we want to tell it to make? Should we tell it to make these? Let's tell it to make this stuff here. Let's tell it to make 1 of those. And then we need to tell it to make a couple more pattern providers for us. Anyways, I'm going to get this thing set up with a bunch of patterns for stuff we'll probably need in the future. And then I'll be right back. Alright, so we have a lot of the patterns that we'll need quite frequently in here. We'll add some more as we go, obviously. But I just want to get some basic Applied Energistics stuff in here because we'll need to make this stuff quickly and all the time, basically. So you'll notice that I can make these basic processor assemblies, and that's really great because I can just tell it, hey, I need a basic processor assembly, and it'll make one for me. But the problem is that these are not what's actually used in the big recipes here. You want one of these cooked. So for that, what we're going to do is actually make these ME interfaces, and we're actually going to let this interface with other mods. The way we can do that is make one of these. I think I already had one of those conversion matrices in there. I guess not. Let's see. We can craft one, though. Can we craft one of these? No, I just want one. Begin crafting it. Let's see if there's an issue with that. Why it might not be crafting. Let's see what it's missing. So that's why we want to have a crafting monitor so we can see what the problem is. Nope, it should have made it. So let's see if it made it. Let's see. Now we should be able to make this interface here. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do is actually, if you have things that are multi-parts, so this for instance contains one of these. It'll make both of those things if you tell it to, if you're missing it. So it'll make all the missing pieces you need. You just need to tell it how to do all of this. So what we're gonna do here is actually encode another pattern, and the way we do this is you have to put one in there. I think we can do it like this. Oh, come on. Let's do this. So we say that this turns into this. Basically, is that we want it to know. We want it to know that this can turn into this, and we can do that by putting this into an interface. So we'll go put an interface. Where should we put this stuff? Oh, let's put it over here. So we'll take an interface and put it right here. Okay, what's not gonna be in the way? I guess optimally it'd be like right around here someplace. So we can go like this. I don't like that necessarily. Let's put it right next to it here. And we'll put this redstone furnace here. And we'll have to provide power for the redstone furnace, obviously. But what we can do is tell it that if you put the pattern into here, you can do the process through this. And you can actually set up an import bus, and then it'll know to take items into this and then pull them back out. So we need to set up importing, exporting on it, and then it should be ready to go. We just need to make a couple import buses. And I should have the means for that. Import bus. We don't need precision, we just need import. Oh, we actually need to make an import. We actually need to make the interface first. We might have to do another one of those. Import bus. Actually, I wonder if we just set up with cable if it'll work. Let's try that. All right, so let's set this up with some cable. And now we should set this to the right, just so it knows for sure. And I think if we tell it to, oh, we need power for this still. Okay, so let's just run some power to it from wherever, doesn't really matter. If I had more of these, I could do that. Let's just do that. Let's see, conduit. Come on, conduit. There we go. Let's use a hardened energy conduit for this. We won't use the good stuff just yet. We will eventually though. And we'll put it right here. We'll make this nice and neat eventually, but just to demonstrate here. Now this should be set up so that you can process these things. I don't know if we need to import or export buses, but we'll try it. Let's see if we can craft it. Let's see, craftable. Can we craft one of these? Again. And there it comes. And it's taken. So now we need to actually get this so it comes back out of here and into the system. So what we'll do is we'll pull out from here, and we need to take it into, oh god, we need to put it back into the system somehow. So we'll need to make an import bus then for this. So we'll need to make an import bus, but now that we have that, we can actually make that pretty easily. We craft one of these, begin, and then we can craft import bus here next. All right, so what we can do then is we'll put an import bus on the bottom of this. Actually, we can put it on the back of this now. We'll put it on the back of here. Why isn't it going the wrong direction? There we go. And we'll set this so it comes out the back then. Eject it out the back. And now this should... Oh, we clicked this one wrong. There we go. So then when this makes stuff, it should automatically eject it out the back and then back into the system, and that's how we'll get everything back in. So this should work just fine. Now let's do a little test run on it. We'll tell it we want one of these, and we'll say begin crafting that. And then we go up to the crafting monitor here, and we can take a look and see how it works. It's gonna say that it's currently crafting nothing. It might have already done it. It might have had all the pieces it needed to actually make that. So let's go back into our system here and interface. Oh, we actually had one in there. All right, so it's already done that fast. It makes it that fast. So we might have had the pieces we need in there, but that's okay. The end result is that we got what we need, the interface, so we can actually set this up with more and more machines, and we can actually upgrade this to, yeah, that might work nicely. Well, we'll set this stuff with the IC2 stuff in here because that really doesn't have a system for it yet. And then we can use IC2 to make this stuff even faster, and that'll be pretty cool. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. I've been Modi. Thank you so much for watching. This is my little foray into Applied Energistics. I'll get this set up nice and pretty off camera here, and then we'll come back and have it set up very nicely done, and have it all set up so we can craft whatever we want using automated processes. Should be pretty cool. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back for another Survival Sealab next time. Have a good night.